good morning. From Hollywood to Wrexham, fans of the National League side have been celebrating after voting overwhelmingly to allow 2 movie stars to buy their club.
Some of today's front pages for you. We're going to start with front page of the Eye, and they are leading, like many of the papers are, on the news of a second Covid-19 vaccine. The Eye reporting the government has done a deal to buy 5 million doses, as we were saying, of that jab, and in negotiations at the moment to buy millions more.
The Telegraph has a picture of Matt Hancock at a Downing Street press conference yesterday. The paper says the Health Secretary refused to rule out an extension to England's lockdown as it was too early to know if the current restrictions have been effective.
Let's take it to the Mirror. They're saying families have been given hope after a government promise of rapid coronavirus tests for care home visitors. Matt Hancock was on the programme yesterday talking about that, wasn't he? But the paper says care home bosses fear those visits will not happen without extra funding.
Online, the Daily Post newspaper in Wales has lots of reactions to the news that the Hollywood stars Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney have bid to buy Wrexham Football Club. It says fans are hoping the move could boost the team's fortunes. I've mentioned this before. That is one of my favourite stories of this whole year.
Fans have voted for it to go ahead now, haven't they?
I know, and you saw the advert that they did on anyway, they're absolutely brilliant, and I love it.
And later on,
I'm just a bit jealous.
We're going to be speaking to Lois Morris, who was actually the fan who. Do you remember the way she put a tweet out years ago, saying
8 years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, saying wouldn't it be amazing if Ryan Reynolds got involved, and then he responded to that tweet, and that's what sort of started the ball rolling.
Oh, it's just brilliant, isn't it? Should we look at the inside pages as well? This is an interesting story. This is about mums. The average age of mums is apparently older than ever. They say that instead of starting a family, millions are choosing education and financial independence. Revealed that the average age at which women gave birth last year was 30.7, the oldest on record. The figure back in 1975 was at 26.5. And they're saying that the trend is leading towards a generation of women who will never be grandmothers. That's according to an expert. Interesting.
Speaking to
Our father's getting older too. The average age men have children now is 33, compared with just under 29 in 1974.
Okay.
Can you remember?
No, it's all a blur, Louise. It's all
I think
a blur.
I was 32, but...
This guy is an amazing fella. I'll show you a picture of him here. You can see the headline for yourself, probably. Hiker back from the dead after his heart stopped for 45 minutes. So he disappeared in a mountain blizzard. He was airlifted to hospital and he was suffering from hypothermia. His organs were at the point of giving up. He arrived in this emergency room, in hospital in Seattle. Our last guest was just in Seattle. He's appeared on Good Morning America to talk about the fact that essentially he was dead for 45 minutes. There's an amazing quote here from one of the doctors. He said, Sam Arbabi, who's the medical director, said he was as dead as someone gets before they are truly dead. And then somehow...
Is that a medical term?
Yeah, well, he obviously knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
3 days later, he's been sitting up in bed. His
Wow.
heart and his lungs are functioning normally. No apparent damage to his brain after being, technically dead for 45 minutes. And by the weekend, he was giving interviews. Remarkable recovery.
Can we just quickly end with a lovely photograph of Captain Sir Tom Moore? Look, he has made history again. He is the oldest ever cover star of GQ magazine. And there he is.
What a year he's had.
Isn't that brilliant? Oh, sorry, there's the actual picture of him on the cover, but it doesn't matter. There.
Long list. It looks very dapper.
Doesn't he look absolutely fantastic in his
tuxedo.
black tie? Absolutely wonderful.
He's had a brilliant few months, hasn't he?
Yes.
It is 21 minutes past 6. Now, it's been a bleak time for small retailers in England at the moment. Non-essential shops, we know, were forced to close for the second lockdown. But some of them are finding clever ways, sorry Louise, it's that voice in my head talking again, of keeping trading safely. Nina is here. Good morning.
Just read the words, Dan.
No,
Just read the words.
I was just trying to,
Routinely we don't, that's the problem.
Bring it all together.
We're talking about retail again this morning. Do you remember last week we looked at whether or not it was a level playing field in retail? Good morning. And that's because retailers considered essential can stay open, so food shops, pharmacies and even hardware stores. But all non-essential retailers, including clothes shops, card shops and charity shops, have been required to close their doors all the way until the 2nd of December. Now, they are allowed to offer delivery and click and collect services as long as items are pre-ordered and collected without customers stepping in store. But it means that by the end of November, non-essential shops across the UK will have been closed for roughly a third of the year, depending on which nation you live in. And so it's been a very challenging time. Lockdown has, though, forced small shops to innovate in order to survive.
Transport for London and London councils have launched a competition to select operators for a year-long trial of rental e-scooters. They've already proved popular in other European cities. We could see them here in London as early as next spring. Lewis Hamilton has been named as the most influential black Briton. The Formula One driver from Stevenage joins Marcus Rashford and Stormzy on the Power List 2021. London's Regional Director for Public Health England, Professor Kevin Fenton, has also made the list. During the first lockdown, many public spaces and gardens were shut. This time round, they're allowed to stay open, of course, and the National Trust and Royal Horticultural Society have been highlighting the mental health benefits of getting outside, whatever the weather.
I mean, we're over 200 acres, so it's a huge garden for people to be able to distance, to wander around peacefully. You know, the understanding and awareness of plants and nature being good for people both mentally and physically, is being talked about more, understood more.